bring a brief word from the 5th chapter of Mark, verse 19 and 20. And what it says is, howbeit Jesus suffered him not, but said unto him, Go home to thy friends and tell them how great things the Lord hath done for thee, and had compassion on thee. And he departed and began to publish in Decapolis how great things Jesus had done for him. And all men marveled, and all men did marvel. We're going to use this morning, run and tell that. Run and tell that. That was once a saying that said if you wanted some news to get out, you had several ways or either several avenues in which to utilize. One was the telephone. One was a telegram. Or tell a woman. This was an alluding fact or implying that women gossip, but that was a chauvinistic belief. Because we are clear today on one thing, men gossip just as much as women. Now there really ain't nothing wrong with gossiping because it's only two people having or sharing a conversation. But the problem or the danger comes in with that is what you're gossiping about. Am I talking in a negative aspect? Or am I saying good things? Am I running someone down with my conversation? Or am I speaking good on someone's behalf? Most of the time, gossip is generally speaking no good about someone else. And it usually starts off like this, and see if this sounds familiar to any of you. When you hear somebody say, girl, let me tell you this. Or man, come here, let me holler at you for a minute. Well, we generally talk about everything but what we need to talk about. We need to talk about how much God has done for us. But we find ourselves in conversation about basketball players and football players, how much money they make. And that serves us no purpose because in actuality they're not going to give us any of it anyway. But we'll lose so much time talking about things that has no importance in our life, when we ought to be telling somebody how good God has been. Isn't that right? Are y'all quiet on me this morning? Well, let's look at the goodness. We talk about everything but the Lord has done, but what the Lord has done for us. Very seldom do we get on the phone and talk about God woke me up this morning, started me on my way, kept me in my right mind, blessed me with a portion of my health and strength, food on my table, clothes on my back. We really don't talk about that too much. But I heard somebody say, when I look back over my life and see where God has brought me from, my soul cries out, hallelujah. And then we find out David figured the thing out when he said, see, the Lord is. Because once we realize what God is and how good God has been to us, guess what? We don't mind going and telling somebody else. Because, see, I remember a long time ago when they used to have testifying service. And whether or not you believe it, I found out that during testifying service, people would get up and tell of the goodness of God and how good God has been to them. And a lot of times there would be somebody in the crowd that's going through what God brought you through. And see, once you tell your story, it gives that person the belief and gives him the strength to guess what? Hold on, because God said what I've done for one, I'll do for the other. Isn't that right? All right. Let me tell you, there are folk on your job and in your community that don't know how good God really is. And they don't know because we haven't taken the time to let someone know how good God has been to you. They don't know that he fed you when you were hungry. They don't know about the struggle of life that you've endured and the sickness that you've overcome because God made a way out of no way. Saints, we are under mandate to tell people we come in contact with how good God has been. You see, somebody right here may have been on their sick bed and the doctors gave up on you. Doctors may have said there's nothing else that they could do and turned and walked away. And you know that I felt like Hezekiah and turned your face to the wall. Oh, come on, Mike, get with me because I'm about to get out of here this morning. And you know that I felt like Hezekiah and turned your face to the wall. And tears began to stream down your face and you cried out, Lord, it's me right here, standing in the need of prayer. Isn't that right? Well, I'm going to go ahead and break down this scripture and get out of here. Jesus had done a great thing for this young man. He was a young man that was out of his mind. He didn't know where his family was. He didn't know anything of his children. And he didn't even know his name. The Bible said he had taken up residency in a cemetery. And not only did he live in the cemetery, he roamed around the cemetery naked. Am I right about it? Another thing about this young man was he had taken off all his clothes. And at some time he would wound himself by cutting himself. And the Bible said that Jesus crossed the Sea of Galilee and headed to a town and ran into this young man. And why have thou, and the young man cried out and said, Thou Son of God, heal me. Why have thou come to torment me? And Jesus asked, What is your name? And the young man replied, My name is Legion, meaning that there are a lot of me. It wasn't the young man replying, it was the demons inside of the young man. Jesus then said, Come out of the man, thou unclean spirit. And the Bible says the demons came out and went into a herd of swine. And the swine jumped over the cliff and killed themselves. Now what I want you to notice right here is the fact that when the swine killed themselves, most people would have been glad to hear about the young man's situation being cleansed. But that wasn't the case. The case in this situation was some folk got mad. And the Bible said that they went to Jesus and they said to him, You've caused an economic deprivation in the community. Yeah, we understand you cast out the demons, but at the same time, 2,000 head of hogs jumped over a cliff and killed themselves, and there's going to be a chitlin shortage this year. There's going to be a pig foot and there's going to be a ham hock shortage. So what we need you to do is to get out of town. And the Bible said Jesus left, and when he made it back to the boat, he went with 12 disciples, and when he made it back to the ship, there were 13. And he looked and he told the young man, he said, Go back and tell of the goodness that happened to you. Go back and tell somebody how I blessed you. I want to close this morning with a story that I sometime a while back about a lady named Sister Mandy. Story says that Sister Mandy was a woman of God, and she believed in praising God. Story says that every time you saw Sister Mandy, she was humming a song or throwing her hands up in praise. And when she went to church, she would sit toward the back of the church and cheer on the preacher. Folk would turn around in their seat and look at her as if she were crazy. And if the preacher got real good, Sister Mandy would make her way in the aisle and cut a step. You know, sometimes when you think about some of the things that God has brought you through, it may make you scream out, hallelujah. It may make some folk look at you strange and otherwise. Some said, well, they could not hardly hear what the preacher was saying because Sister Mandy was making so much noise. Story says that one day a couple of the ladies from the church were leaving the mall and spotted Sister Mandy walking. So they stopped her as she walked up the sidewalk to her house. And they said, Sister Mandy, we would like to know why you're always praising God. Sister Mandy said, well, if you got a minute, I'll tell you why. She said, my husband died and left me with 7 small children. And I did not have no way, and I didn't know how I was going to make it. I began to pray, and the Lord let me get a little job. And I began working in the white folk kitchen, mopping and ironing, cooking and cleaning their house. I would work all day and come home and take care of my children. But I kept on praying and I kept on holding on. A little later, he blessed me with another little job. So now I'm working 2 jobs and had to leave my children at home by themselves. Yes, I did. But I want to let you know that I had some good cheering. Because none of them got in any trouble. And as time went on, they began to graduate high school. And I didn't know how I was going to send them to college. But I told the Lord about it. You ever had anything happen in your life and you didn't know how you were going to make it? But you went down on your knees and told God about it. Yes! Sister Mandy said, child, let me tell you, you know how some of them got scholarships for football, and I had one got a scholarship for basketball. A couple of my girls got academic scholarships, and the rest organizations gave them money, and they got a chance to go to college. One of the ladies said, well, Sister Mandy, we got to run now. And Sister Mandy said, well, you asked, so I got to finish telling you my story. She said, I got one that is a doctor now. One of my kids is a lawyer now. I got 2 that are school teachers, and another one is an engineer. She said, you see, they bought me this house, and they set me down. I got hot running water. I got a Frigidaire and a deep freezer. She said, I got an ice maker. I got a wall-to-wall carpet. My deep freezer's full of food. She said, so look at here, lady. You don't know like I know what the Lord has done for me. He brought me from a 2-room shack. He brought me from working in the white folk kitchen. Yes, he did. I don't know about you, but won't he lighten your load? I said, won't he lighten your load? I don't know, but I remember when I had my heavy load. I was don't understand quiet people. See, sometimes I think quiet people don't think. Because if you thought this morning for just a little bit, if you thought this morning, oh, there you go. If you thought this morning about how he woke you up, if you gave it a little more thought about how he clothed you in your right mind, if you kept on thinking this morning how he gave you a little food on your table, if you thought a little longer and thought about the little car he gave you right, you thought a little more this morning, I'm quite sure you put something in the collection plate and still got something in your pocket. You kept on thinking this morning about you gotta get up and go to work in the morning. I don't understand how you can think about all of that and still sit and be quiet. Because he's been too good. I said he's been too good. Yeah. I'm gonna leave this with you. By the grace of the Lord, I've come along